Hey everybody, it's Owen here and welcome to episode 6 of the HiiKER podcast, the podcast that may or may not inspire your next long distance hiking adventure. Joining me on the show today is Melissa McDermott, a dear old friend of mine. Mel is the founder of Galz Gone Wild, a community of like-minded women who come together to share space in the outdoors. I wrote that myself. Mel, if you use that, I won't copyright. Mel and I go way back, so this one is a little bit longer than my other interviews. But we do cover a lot. We talk about how Mel founded Galz Gone Wild. We talk about how she discovered the power of nature and got into the outdoors. She talks about some of the long distance hikes that she's been on, including some that we've been on together. And there'll be no shortage of laughter in this podcast because when Mel and I get together, things get a bit giddy. A question for the audience. Have you made it to episode 6 of this podcast and haven't seen the HiiKER app? If so, head over to your local app store and download it for free now. HiiKER gives you access to over 1,400 long distance hiking trails from all over the world. That's including over 600 trails in North America, over 350 in Europe, over 300 trails between Ireland and the UK, and almost 150 trails between Australia and New Zealand. And that number is growing every single day. So all the trails that we mentioned in this podcast are featured on the app. Okay, the sales pitch is over, but, well, actually, no, not yet. If you are liking this podcast, please subscribe. Please tell your friends. If you know anybody who's into hiking or is getting into hiking or keeps talking about getting into hiking, send them this podcast. Let them know. Share it out to the world. Let me know what you think. Send me an email, podcast@hiiker.co. That's podcast@HiiKER.co. Now, time for the interview. Enjoy my chat with Melissa McDermott.
I was placing a lot of value on material objects when I was younger. My mom got me, my mom and dad for my 21st birthday. They said you can either have a car or you can have a Chanel handbag. I wonder if you knew me back then when I was materialistic.
That was when...
Was that the switch?
That was the switch. Yeah,
that was
the great switch. Yeah.
Yeah,
the great divide.
It's but yeah, I used to place so much value on material things, and thought, okay, well, when I get the next handbag or when I get the next item of clothing or this and this and this and this, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
You know? And then I got the handbag for my 21st birthday, thanks mum and dad. Chanel handbag, thousands of euro, disgusting amount of money, and then what happens to it? It got stolen. And I never used it. I kept it in a trunk in my bedroom, just because I was it was so precious that precious.
We've come full circle.
It was so precious to me, and I was I can't use it. So it just became this thing that I used to, I used to kind of take it out and I'd admire it and I'd look at it and I'd be like, this is so beautiful. But then I'd put it back in its box and then I'd never actually bring it out. And then one time I was like, okay, it's Christmas, I'm going to bring this bag out with me. And I brought it out and I had it sitting beside, right at my leg in these kind of curved chairs, and it was in, what's it called? The garage bar. Remember the garage bar?
Yeah.
And I was so loud and I was leaning over to talk to my friend, and when I was leaning over, because we were kind of caught up and chat, this, you can see in the CCTV footage, the chick behind me puts her hand over, grabs that, and she's gone. She's literally gone. I'd say she was probably, it was 3 seconds or something like that.
Shit. She was planning,
she'd been following
lining
us.
That up for
she
ages.
had been following us 100%. And then I remember having a mental breakdown, freaking out and being oh my god, broken hearted that this bag had been stolen and I had gotten it for my 21st birthday, and just ridiculous, I suppose, of a reaction to have at the time. I mean, I totally understand why, but looking back on it now, and I think that was a turning point for me when I was I'm not going to have any more, anything that's worth that much value. That, because I held it was almost I had having this item was the, I suppose, the epitome of success and happiness, and And then when it was gone, I was like, not that it was part of my identity, but I was like, okay, that's like, I need to kind of rid myself of any sort of materialistic thing that I have in my life. And then from that point onwards, I started to slowly kind of just get rid of stuff, and then realised that actually material possessions, whether it's your laptop, your phone, your TV, like whatever it is, it's all bullshit. Like none of that matters, because like what matters at the end of the day are experiences, and that's something like that I have like now that I like really, really place a lot of value on is my experiences with my friends and my experience in the outdoors, and like even when I'm every time I move home or move house, I will always like go through all of my clothes, and I will try and like, because I really want to get into like minimal living, and I think I'm getting there, definitely. Like I've gone from having wardrobes of clothes, because I used to work in fashion retail for like 15 years, and slowly kind of like minimizing that, and now I just kind of have like all my clothes are just like outdoor clothes, and I'll wear them to like death, like and then I suppose the clothes that I have for going out, which doesn't really happen that much, like are like really, really like special, like nice pieces that I will keep in my wardrobe for, you know, birthdays,
and they're just like tucked away.
Probably has dust on them, because I never wear them anymore. But yeah, just realizing that just like all of that stuff just doesn't really fucking matter. Like it just doesn't matter.
And like so like when you were 21 and that happened, was it then that you made a conscious effort, or was it like something that you were kind of like, oh, I got stolen, and then it eventually hit home? It was like, oh, I actually, you know what, I don't need this.
It was it's I think it was definitely a moment when I realized something's got to change, because if all you're working towards is I want to have the house, and I want to have the body, and I want to have this, and I want to have that, and then you get all of that stuff, because I got it all, like everything that I wanted, the job, the money, like when I got it all, I was like, oh shit, I'm actually still not happy. And it was that kind of like, well, there's obviously something wrong, and then I need to try like address it, reflect on it, and figure out what is. And then as a 21-year-old, you know, like that's kind of hard to, or sorry, I would have been, what, I don't know, 23 or something, to realise. And I think it was just, well, it all stems from the, I was living in London, worked my ass off, retail management, and then came back to Dublin because I had burnt out. I was like so young, working up the corporate ladder in London, like, and burnt out and suffered really badly with depression. And I talk about this openly and honestly, and I will talk to anybody about it. I have no problem talking about it, because I think it's important to share our experiences with it. For me, there's definitely room for Western medicine and antidepressants and the whole lot, but unfortunately that just didn't work for me. I went on antidepressants for 2 years and realised, because you're just numb, like I couldn't feel anything, like literally nothing, and I just didn't want to feel that way anymore. So I decided, okay, I'm going to come off my antidepressants. So I came off them, and then with the help of a doctor, like weaned myself off them, and then was like, right, I'm going to have to be the one that saves me here, because back then the mental health system was severely flawed, and I like really couldn't find the help that I needed that worked for me at the time. And I just remember sitting in my bedroom and just thinking like, okay, I have cousins and uncles in my family that have committed suicide, so I know that it actually like runs in my family, and I know that I definitely had thoughts of like suicide, and I was like, but I'm not going down that path. And I had hit rock bottom, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to save myself. And I was like, right, I just need to start doing things that I like doing. And it was as simple as that. It was like, okay, I want to become a better photographer. I want to get out in nature more. And I went and I did a year course in, what was it called? Crumlin? No, not Crumlin. Yeah, I think it's Crumlin. Photography school. And I did a year course there, and then my tutor at the time sat us all down in a circle, and he goes, what type of photographer do you want to be? And I never even asked myself that question. I was like, I don't know, I just want to get better at taking photos. And then I was like, maybe I would like to be an adventure photographer. And this is like going back when that wasn't even a job role. Do you remember? Like I remember seeing what's his name? Chris Burkhardt. Yeah, and he was like adventure photographer. I literally think that was his title. Yeah. I was like, that's a made up term. I was like, there's no, that's an adventure. You can't be paid to do that, you know? Yeah. And I was like, oh, but how cool would that be if you were to be paid to do that for your job? And I was like, feck it. So I just like threw it down and I was like, I want to be an adventure photographer. And he goes, well, you're going to have to start like getting outdoors and going on adventures. Yeah. And it was that simple. I was like, oh my God, yeah, okay. Because I think, you know, if you look at it like so far down the line, it kind of is unattainable because you're like, oh well, I have to get into this and I have to do this and I have to, and it's I suppose it's unattainable. So it's like, let's just do it like piece by piece. Let's just get outdoors on my doorstep, like the Dublin Mountains. And I joined the Dublin Mountains Partnership. They offer free hikes, I think once a month or twice a month or something. And I went out with them and I took photos for them. And then I just remember being like out on the mountain and being like, oh my God, like this is incredible. And there's like these volunteers that are here that just get to lead all these people on these hikes, and everybody's having a great time and I'm having a great time. And it was the first time that I felt like truly happy. Mm-hmm. That there was like this like kind of it was massive. I actually remember it was Fairy Castle. We had just gone onto the top of Fairy Castle Peak. It was the first time that I had ever seen that view over Dublin. And I mean, I've done that trail like I don't know how many times since, and I still feel that like I'll always pause at that specific like part of the trail because it was such a defining moment for me. Yeah. And when I met with like Galz Gone Wild or whatever, and I remember just thinking like I can breathe. Like I could actually, for the first time, like there was no anxiety of what am I going to do with my life, because I was like in my mid-20s and all I knew was retail management. Like I knew nothing else. I was like, what am I going to be? Who am I going to be? That was my identity. I'm not skilled in anything else. And I think as a, you know, when you're in your mid-20s, society tells you something very different. Like, you know, you have to have this and you have to have your degree and you have to have your car and your house and your whatever. And I like had none of that. So I thought I was like very, very far behind. And it was the first time when I was out with the Dublin Mountain Partnership that I felt that there was like that pressure had just kind of like ceased. And I remember coming off the mountain and just being like, I definitely want to do that again. And then I just started joining like other hiking groups. Yeah. Like I'm any hiking group that I could join, I joined, and I went on like multiple hikes with all these different groups. And look, there's definitely a need for all of these specific groups because we each as individuals have our own idea of what adventure like means to us and what a hike means to us. Yeah. And for me, I just wasn't getting what I needed from these groups, and I tried to seek out what it was that I did need, and I couldn't find it. I could not find it.
Can you put your finger on what that is that you needed?
I needed to explore my connection to nature more. I felt like when we were on these group hikes with these other groups, other hiking groups, they were, and I always say it, like they're always focused on getting from point A to point B, right? Which is totally fine. And I like to do those hikes sometimes. You know, I like to sign up to some of these hikes and go on where I don't have to lead and I don't have to worry about it. But at that specific time, I wanted to pause. I wanted to pause in nature. I wanted to like feel the way that I felt when I had paused up in the mountain, that like up on Fairy Castle. I wanted to just breathe it all in. I wanted to take it all in. And yeah, I like tried to search for that, and yeah, I couldn't find it. So that's when I decided that I was going to try and create something where you can go on a hike, and we will do a hike, but then it's also about that beautiful journey from A to B. Like, it's what I call like the sweet spot, where it's you get to explore not only your connection to nature, but you also get to explore your connection to like other humans, where there's no barriers, like, because there's nowhere to escape. Like when you're out in the trail and you're on the mountain with you know, these girls from our community, you know, it's very raw and it's very real. Like you kind of just get sucked into, you kind of bypass all of the chit chat and the like surface level conversation, like, hi, I'm like, and how old are you, and what do you do for a living, and you know, it kind of just goes straight into like, tell me about your fears and your, you know, like aspirations and all of that, and that's something that I really wanted to try and create, and it seems to be
like. We'll talk about the Galz Gone Wild in a bit, but I want to go back to the photography because, like, you are like a really good photographer. Like, the stuff that you put
thanks,
coming from me, that's a really high compliment. But because I was speaking to Craig Adams, who is a very accomplished photographer, filmographer, documentarian, and also a hiker. He's hiked trails all over the world. And one of the things that resonated with me, they said there, that kind of I picked up from what you were saying as well, is that when you are doing these adventure photography, that type of photography, it's very much a solo mission. It's nearly a selfish pursuit, because you have to be out there on your own. You have to be completely on your own to embrace that and understand what the type of imagery, and that's what I get from what you just said, but also what I get from your photography, because even like a simple thing like taking a picture, like when we were on the Sleep Bloom Way the other day, like a few weeks ago, I remember you took a picture of a leaf with water in it, and I was like, where did that come from? That's like so I probably walked by the exact same leaf, but like that came into your head, and the reason why that came into your head was because you have been out there on your own, you've been sitting with nature, and you've been embracing it and kind of going, I'm familiar with this. I'm going to show the world what I think about this right now. Yeah. So like,
it's something that that I'm always saying to anybody that will listen, is we never pause. Like, we don't pause in nature, especially when you're on a linear trail. You know, so there's a trail there, and it's telling you where to go, and most people will stay on that trail, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And they don't venture or veer off from it. Like, God forbid they would like turn left off it and venture into the forest and like sit under a tree, because that's the way that we're programmed. Like, we're programmed to like get up every day, go to work, go to the gym, come home, you know, and to break away from that is really, really hard. And look, sure, it took me however many years to realise that. So when I'm on the trail with the girls, I get them to do that. So we will be hiking along, and then all of a sudden I have like a little whistle on my backpack, and I'll like whistle that, and then they'll all pause, and then I'm like scatter. I'm like, scatter into the forest, and they're like, what? Just go off the trail. I'm and they're almost like sheepish. They're unsure of like, can we?
It's like when you were messing in class.
And
it's like the teacher's coming in, sketch.
Like, totally, right? So you have to tell people like, it's okay to, now obviously leave no trace and all of that. Stick to paths, of course. But, you know, there are forests there, especially off trails, where you're allowed to venture, you know, into. And what we call it a mindful moment. And what it does is it kind of like breaks them away from that linear path of getting from the start of the hike to the end of the hike, and it really, I suppose, grounds them in the space. So, because what happens is, when you, especially if you come for one of our Rise to It hikes, like every Friday morning at 6 o'clock in the Dublin Mountains.
GalzGoneWild.com.
www.galzgonewild.com. You are getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, then you are getting into your car and it's pitch black, and then you are driving to a car park in the Dublin Mountains, and then you're getting out of your car, and then all of a sudden you're being like greeted by like 14 other women, and then you're on the trail, and like, you haven't really given yourself a moment to even be like, whoa, I am in nature right now, and I'm in this amazing environment. So what we do is we'll get them to usually sit underneath a tree or hug a tree, or just find a space within that kind of like forest area, and without giving too much away, because that's why you have to come on the hike, we'll do this mindful moment. All it does is it grounds you in the space, and then it connects you to nature. It connects you to your surroundings and to your environment. And when you do it once, honestly, it's like all you need to do, like pop your cherry, your nature cherry, then you start to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So like you said, to bring it back to when we were on the Schliebloom Way and I saw that leaf that had all the little droplets of water on it.
Yeah.
So beautiful. Like you see it everywhere. You see the droplets on the trees, and you see the way that the wind moves on the treetops and the reflections in the puddles of water. But you don't see that if you don't pause to like take it in. So that's what I think differentiates Galz Gone Wild to other hiking groups, is our exploring our connection to nature. Yeah.
And like I think that can resonate with a lot of people throughout lockdown. And I suppose I'm going to say me in particular, because yes, I've done that in the wild. I've done that on hikes, but even in my back garden. Because where we are right now, we're in Dublin 12. We're like maybe about a mile or so from the M50, not even a mile from the M50, and like in the back garden, M50 is a main motorway right beside our house, the busiest motorway in the country basically. And if you go out right now, you can hear the hum. You can hear the cars constantly going by. But during the height of lockdown, when there was no one out, you couldn't hear a thing except for the birds.
Oh.
And even the bees. Like we would have a few kind of bees nests in the back garden as well. But the birds, and I remember sitting there at one point and listening to a conversation between two pigeons.
No way.
There was one in the tree in the back garden, and another one like in a tree over the far side of the house, and you could hear them having a chat with each other. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. When have you ever like had the opportunity to do that? And like I think that's something that's been one of the benefits of lockdown. I mean, there's been a lot of negatives, of course, but trying to see the positives in it. And it has been that to be able to slow down, and slow down in the simplest form of like rediscovering, you know, the space within your home, like the garden. Where I've moved to Wicklow, and I've been there for a month, right? Yeah. And because now I think we've all started to slowly slip back into our old rhythm. Yeah. And I start to catch myself, and I caught myself today, right? 2 days ago. Because I actually hadn't walked around the property where I've moved in. I've been there for a month, and I hadn't actually walked around it properly. Actually, I hadn't walked around it at all. And I was like, wow, because I was taking it for granted again, you know. So I went out, and it was actually on the autumn equinox, so the first day of autumn, which is like my favourite time of year. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go out into the garden, and I spent 2 hours, I think, just walking around outdoors, taking photos of like nature and the way that different colours of the leaves were coming down. I did like a nature mandala.
I'll post that.
Can we Google it?
Just drop it. It'll be my voice later on. It's
called. Well, because one is a
nature mandala.
mandala. Is that's like a mandala? No, that's a.
What? I have a pot of ivy.
No, behind it.
What are you talking about? Here. A mandolin.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting confused.
That's a ukulele.
Oh. Ukulele, mandolin, mandala.
There's a bass guitar over there. It's like.
You can't see what I'm looking at. I was like a mandala. Anyway, I did a nature mandala or mandala, whatever the hell it's called, and what it allowed me to just like, I suppose, explore my surroundings, and like fully appreciate them. And another thing that I noticed was like this, and eucalyptus tree is one of my favorite trees, like hands down one of my favorite trees. From being over in California, I've just come to love them, love their smell, love how that they kind of just start to kind of like tear away. They're just absolutely gorgeous, and there's like a laneway that goes into my house, and I have passed that tree how many times now? Been over there for a month, I don't know, and I've never copped it, because I'm always thinking of what I have to do or what I've just done, and I'm not fully present. And I think lockdown gave us the opportunity to do that. But if I think we need to now, when we're starting to go back into the flow of our like routine again, is to try and pull ourselves out of that. because it's so important. Because like just like the beauty of like sitting there and listening to the bees or listening to pigeons having a little chat, like it's so important. It's so important
because it gives you a sense of place. It gives you an idea of like, okay, oh, hang on a second, it's not just me. Yeah, I'm not the center of the universe. You know, there's not just other people.
I don't know about that.
There's other beings here. There's other creatures, and it's not just living. It's not just mammals. It's also the grass. It's also the trees. It's also the wind and everything that's around.
Like you're such a small speck. Like such a small speck. Like you matter. You absolutely matter. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, like you're so tiny.
Yeah. Well, that's again. I'll bring it back to Carl Sagan. Like one of my favorite quotes from our favorite speeches is the pale blue dot. Which is
you should put that in this. Read it at the end or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I will. Yes, I will. But right now, I actually need to take a break because I need to go to the bathroom. So we're going to pause, and I'm going to edit this section out completely, so it doesn't matter what I say. Welcome back to the HiiKER podcast. So, Melissa, dear friend, so we got a lot there. Like we actually recorded a lot of.
Did we?
A lot of content there.
How long have we been talking for?
33 minutes.
Stop.
Yeah, we haven't even got to the fucking trails yet.
Oh my god! Come on, let's get this done. 'Cause I want to go climbing.
Yeah. So tell me a bit more. Give us the elevator pitch, I suppose, for Galz Gone Wild.
Oh my god, no, I'm not giving you.
No. Okay. Give me the about page. No. Detailed description of give me the heartfelt idea and go on, talk to me.
Well, do you know what, actually, hold on a second, let's flip or reverse it for a second. Look, I could tell you, I could go on and on and on and on and on about Galz Gone Wild and what it is and how we set it up but all of that crack, but actually just interesting. It would be interesting to hear from especially a male's perspective of what you think Galz Gone Wild is.
Oh, you meant me. I was actually like, I can call someone if you want.
because what I've noticed is that there's been a lot of guys that have wanted to, or that have sent me a message over the 3 years since we set up in 2017, asking, would I set up a male equivalent, right? Mm-hmm. And just time, it's just I just don't have the time to do it. And also, I know that there's somebody out there that will do a male version of it justice. So it would be nice to hear what you think, because there's a lot of guys that love what we do, absolutely love what we do, and they want to see a male version of it. Yeah. And why? I'm like, oh, okay. So why is that? I wonder what it is that you see that maybe I don't see, or it could be,
I think, well, I'd say the reason why people...
The interviewee becomes...
Aha, the tables have turned. I guess if I was sitting in that position of being jealous, I suppose, or seeing it and kind of going, I really want that. Yeah. Because men, in all facets of life, don't really connect the way women do. We don't have the same relationship with women, or same relationship with men that women do. I have very close relationships, friendships with guys like Jordan and Lee, my housemates, and Paul and Pete and Dara, all these guys that I'm I can call on these guys if I ever need help or if I need to talk something out. But I guess it's two prongs. You've got the kind of sharing of chat and kind of thoughts, but also being in the outdoors. And I don't know, it just isn't something there for men at the moment. Maybe there is, and maybe call me out if I'm wrong if there isn't something like that. But it's seeing you guys doing that. It's kind of that looks like so much fun, because not only are you embracing nature and you're getting out, you're being fit, you're meeting new people, but you're also getting that chance to kind of share you know, your maybe not your innermost feelings.
No,
sometimes you are.
You get to be really vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable. That's it. Yeah, and like there's groups out there like Men's Sheds, that do great work in communities, like connecting men and getting them to do things, and hiking I think is part of that as well. But there's no kind of like dedicated, right lads, we're meeting up here, and forget your machiness, forget about like running up the mountain, forget about, you know, having the best gear possible. Show up, comfortable pair of shoes, rain gear, and we're going to go out, have a walk, and enjoy it. Like,
okay, so two things. First thing, when we did the Schlievloom Way, we also had Connor with us, right? Connor O'Keefe. And it's interesting that you say that you don't get to, or men don't get to be so vulnerable with each other. But I watched you guys on the trail.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you probably realise there was a lot of time that I was like holding back, like behind you guys. Yeah. Because what I was doing was I was actually allowing and giving you, I was purposely giving you that space for you both to connect on that level.
Yeah.
Because when there's a woman that comes in and is in that space, the narrative might change slightly, or the conversation might change to something else. So by me kind of like, just keeping my distance a little bit, it wasn't because I was slow. I swear it wasn't because I was slow. I actually kept up quite a good pace.
Oh yeah, you ran at one point.
I was trying to catch up with Connor. I was like, this guy can fucking move. It's like, I'm going to try and catch up with him.
There was a reason for that, and we'll get into that in a minute.
But it was
somebody was a little bit ticked off.
Somebody was a little bit pissed off, were they? But it was beautiful. It was so beautiful to watch you guys connect in that way, and to be vulnerable, and to be completely like yourselves. And you had only met. Yeah. You know, so I think we need to change the narrative that surrounds men in the outdoors, right? And I had actually talked to Jenny, her name's Jenny Tuff on Instagram, and we had a lovely conversation there the other day about men's, I suppose, experience in the outdoors, right? And that a lot of men feel like they have to be either they have to have like an army background, or they have to have they need to know navigation, and they have to be super fit, and it's all, that's like, there's a place for everybody in the outdoors, right? And there's definitely a place for just the everyday guy that just wants to get outdoors and wants to connect, whether it's to get outdoors to connect with other like-minded guys, or whether it's to connect with nature, or whatever reason it may be. But we need to stop saying, because it was something that had happened a lot when I would approach guys that I would meet, and I'd be like, I think they might be right for setting up something similar to Galz Gone Wild. And when I would talk to them, they'd go, oh no, so like it couldn't be the same as Galz Gone Wild, because men wouldn't be open enough to talking about this or talking about their emotions. And I'm like, yeah, well, you don't go into, like, I didn't go into Galz Gone Wild with the idea that we're going to all come out hiking and we're all going to sit down and we're going to like talk about our feelings. Like, that's not that's not how you go about it. You say that, it's a community, it's a safe space. So you give the girls and you give guys the space to do that if they want to. You invite them in to do that, and if they want to share, they want to share, and if they don't, they don't. And a lot of it's to do with trust as well, and creating this safe space. So there is definitely a space for men, that type of community, and I'm just hoping that somebody does come along and does set it up, because it's so important. And it's like, I know within our community, and to come back to what Galz Gone Wild is, I set up Galz Gone Wild with the idea to connect, very simply, to connect women with nature, to connect women to themselves, and to connect women with other like-minded women. That was basically what I kind of wanted to do. And it's funny because like none of that like really involved the hiking aspect of it. Like none of it was like you have to be super fit. Now we do have beginner, intermediate, whatever, which came kind of like
subject to the trail that you're on. Yeah,
exactly. But every single one of those hikes, there will There will always be room for connection, like always. And the same way that I would love to see that happen for men, especially within Ireland. Like, there is such a high rate of suicide in young males, depression and mental health issues. And I think, like, as you know yourself, like when we were out in the Slieveleon Way, the benefits that you reap in from being outdoors, number one, but then also like connecting with myself, and like you get to know people so much quicker, because there's just, and you get to be your most honest and real self as well, I think, on the trail, because there's nowhere to really like hide from. Like you can't there's no reason for you to be anybody else other than yourself when you're out there.
Like, two things, like first of all, with Connor in particular, when you just said there, like, you get to know people really, really quickly, and like I actually did feel coming back from that, is like, I feel like I've known Connor for years.
Yeah, same.
We just got on so well, and the reason for that is because, yes, our barriers were just dropped down, because like we're both doing the same thing. We're both out on the trail. We're both vulnerable. Like, there's no need to be masculine here. There's no need to be, the alpha male or anything like that. It's just like, no, we're out having fun.
Yeah.
We might get lost. We might do a few wacky things along the way. It's just a bit of crack, and I actually felt like I connected a lot with him, and with you as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And when it comes to men in the outdoors in general, there is this element of or narrative of masculinity that goes along with anything. So if you go out and go to the outdoors, it's like, oh, how far did you hike?
Yeah.
Or did you 25k? I did 35k.
Yeah.
Or I did 1,000 meters of elevation. Those things. And like, yeah, that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. Do that. But that's a personal endeavor. That's not something that you have to be like, oh, you only did that. Well, I did this.
Yeah. It's not a competition.
It's not a competition.
Like, and within our community, it's something that we, oh my God, like I really, really, really try and stress it to the girls. It's not about who gets to the top of the mountain first. Yeah. It's not about setting times or distances or any of that crack. It is literally just about getting outdoors and having fun. Like, fun. That's it. Yeah. That's all we want to do, is have fun. Yeah. And then everything else is kind of like, a bonus with it. Yeah. But the same way that you said about men and that masculine energy, like, women feel that too, right? So when I started hiking in 2017 or something, or when I had the idea that I wanted to become a hiker, right?
Yeah.
In order for me to become this respected woman in the outdoors, I thought that I had to go and complete some sort of crazy long distance hike, okay? Yeah. Because I had never hiked before. So I was like, right, well, in order to prove myself to the men in the outdoors, because that's every time I was going out hiking with these groups, it was always men that were leading them. Older demographic, kind of like mid to like late 50s, really nice men, absolutely, like really very knowledgeable about the outdoors and nature and all of that. But I was like, okay, I need to prove myself to the outdoor community. So I decided to take on the Wicklow Way, right? Which you have done, and actually your previous podcast you talk about the Wicklow Way. Yeah. Like, hands down. I mean,
in the middle of a pandemic as well.
Yeah, sure, why not? What else would you be doing? 132 kilometers. Sure, fuck it, why not? Like, and that was kind of similar to me. I was like, I am gonna go take on not a 20k hike. Yeah. No, not even 40 or 60. I'm gonna go take on a 7-day, 132 kilometer long distance hike through the Wicklow Mountains. Yeah. And I wasn't doing it for me. I was not doing, like, I thought I was doing it for me, but I definitely wasn't. I was doing it to prove it to that masculine energy that I thought that I needed to have in order to become like this star hiker, right? Yeah. So I think everybody that's listening to this, especially the women, will have seen Wild, right, with Reese Witherspoon, okay? And her backpack in it. Like, it's like, they call it Monster. Mine was pretty much the exact same thing. It was 20 kilos, I think it weighed, actually, if not more. And I had... Did
you have your ice axe? Did you have
your... Oh my God. I had, like... I was only short... Like, when we say, like, carrying the kitchen sink. Like, I genuinely was only short of carrying that. I had the most... Like, all of my equipment was heavy. I had all of my 7 days food in the bag.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I hadn't a clue what I was doing.
Jesus.
Right? Because we were in the Schliebling Way, we had 3 days, and that was like enough. That was heavy already.
Yeah. Mostly cheese.
Mostly cheese, mostly jellies. That was cheese and jellies is what we lived off for 3 days on the Schliebling Way. No jokes. And then I had a really, 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 really heavy sleeping bag, mat, and tent.
Yeah.
So I had like set off, and nothing was like stored in a dry bag. Everything was just So now I had done a bit. I used to be really into weight training, and I then took a break from weight training for a few months. So my fitness was like, it was crap. Like I just wasn't able to support that type of weight on my back at all. And I take off. Now, when I look back, I was like, fair play to you, Mel. Like, you know, I just was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I got into the first the first night I hiked like 40k or something like that. Yeah, insane. I hiked all the way to like past Lockdown. It's actually probably more.
Jesus, no, that's a lot. Yeah.
Lockdown.
Tinahely is roughly about 38 kilometers, I think.
Okay.
And then from Tinahely, then the next place would be Lockdown.
Yeah.
Would be the next place after that.
So I hiked, and it was during the summer, so that like the days were very long. And then I pitched my tent in a field.
Sorry, so did you go south or north?
North to south.
Sorry, that's what I was like. Yeah, okay. I was like, Lockdown in the first. That's like 100 kilometers.
Oh, you thought it went from south to north, which you can do either or. No, I went from north to south. Yeah. But I actually would recommend doing from Tinahely to Dublin.
That's what we did.
Yeah, it's way better
because you end up in Rathfarnham, which is just down the road.
Yeah, and it's just it becomes more beautiful, I think, the trail. Yeah. Whereas it's a bit of an anticlimax when you arrive into. I mean, Tinahely's great and all, but like, it's just a bit. Or not Tinahely, sorry. Clonegall. One pub, and it's probably closed. So I would definitely start in Clonegall and then end up in
Also,
Dublin.
when you finish in Marley Park, there is a ice cream van that's constantly parked there. So when you finish the Wicklow Way, you just get like
a celebratory flake 99.
You just get like 5.99s all to yourself.
Delish, gorge. But yeah, look, basically, I ended up camping in a field. Woke up surrounded by 30 not sheep, with the rams, right? 30 rams. Shitting myself, was like, packed my tent and everything from the inside out, and then made it legged it, ran. You should have seen me. I was like, oh my god. I was just trying, threw myself over the fence, and then was ridiculous.
The anxious panic.
Oh, I was freaked out because they were just standing there glaring at me, ready to kill me. So I was like, okay, grand. But I felt my knee. My knee was hard. My whole right entire leg was just it felt like
solid.
Stone.
Yeah.
Solid. I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right. And then I got all the way then to past Glenmalure, and on the third day, and I remember getting to, there was this stop sign in front of me, and I literally was like, I actually need to stop right here, right now, because it was that bad, the pain I ended up having to come off the trail.
A signal from the universe.
It was 100%. I'm not there to, I mean, initially, yes, I was there to prove myself but as I've gotten older, I'm not doing stuff to impress anybody anymore. No. I'm doing everything for myself, and that's all that matters. So I was like, I need to come off the trail. It was, I mean, the pain was so bad. I'm all about pushing past your limit and seeing how far you can go, but this was actually bad. This was it's a really bad injury, and I've been paying for it ever since. That was how many years ago? And now it's still even on the first day of the Schliebling Way, I could feel it kind of niggling, and it loosens up, and then it's fine or whatever. But after that, I think I realized that you don't need to prove, you don't need to go on and take on these crazy distances or crazy hikes in order to prove that you belong in the outdoors.
Yeah.
It's all it's in your head, but it's also, I think there is a lot of that toxic
gear culture or just toxic outdoor culture. Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
like having to have exactly like that toxic gear culture, like having to have the right kit in order to be there, to be worthy of being there. And you know, I have definitely had some people question why it is that like I should be doing what it is that I'm doing, like that I shouldn't be out. Like, oh yeah, like it's, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. But I suppose my point is that there is space for everybody in the outdoors, and you don't need to be this like hard ass, like serious camper, hiker in order to feel like you belong there. Like if all you do is go and do a 2K loop around your forest or whatever, like that's okay. Do what feels comfortable for you. Like that's really all that matters. Do what feels comfortable for you and what feels safe and what makes you happy. And that's enough. Like that's like it's so enough. Whereas now I'm like, what makes me happy is doing long distance hikes.
Exactly.
Which is where you guys come in.
Well, that's I think that resonates with everybody, because you know the outdoor community as a whole and the hiking community in particular has exploded in the last few years.
Oh, it's amazing.
And like that's down to a number of different things, but like movies and documentaries and blogs and Instagram have played a huge part in that, and lockdown obviously has a big part in that too. So you'll see these people that are doing like these monster trails, like over in the US, doing like the PCT or the AT or the Tearoa. Elena Osborne, I am sorry for butchering that. And you see that, and then you're like, oh, I really want to do that. But if you look at the numbers, like, and we've looked into this, the amount of people that drop off that is massive. Like the people that complete it is only like 30%, if even lower. So that's because people are like, I want to do that, and then they get into it and they drop off, which is fine.
Do you know? Because they're also doing it for the wrong reasons. Yeah,
they're doing it. They're probably doing it for the challenge. They're probably like, I can do this, but they haven't actually really thought about it. So it's important for you to do what it is comfortable for you first, and then work your way up to those. And that's if that's what you want to do. Yeah. But always keep it in the back of your mind. This is not because you're going to try and break some records. This is not because you're going to do better than the other person. This is because you want to do it and experience these things and bring it back to what you said earlier on. Embrace it. Yeah. Like actually, remember we were originally planning to do the Sleeping Way. It was just yourself and myself, and we were like, okay, I'm gonna book off 3 days. We're gonna do it in 3 days. And then you messaged me back and says, but do we want to do it in 3 days? Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, you're dead right. Why don't? Because
why are we rushing it?
We were like looking at the trail. It was like 86 kilometers, and we thought, okay, we'll do that over 3 days. It's going to be roughly around about 30 kilometers, maybe a smaller day. But why don't we just do it in 4 days and do it in like 20 kilometer lumps? Yeah, it's like that actually makes much more sense. Now we actually did end up doing it in 3 days, just because of schedules. But that's just the way it goes. But it triggered me to be like, you're dead right. I'm not trying to do this in a record time. I'm not trying to like get like 30 kilometer days and like loads of elevation while also having like nearly 20 kilos of weight on my back. Like that would have killed me.
Then it becomes a slog.
Yeah,
you know,
it
then
doesn't become enjoyable.
You're not even immersed in the experience. You're immersed in your pain. You're like, this is awful. Like, why did I come and sign myself up to this? You know, like long distance hikes, and like me and you have started to do a lot more of them lately. And yes, we could do them in, you know, shorter times, whatever. But I just don't think you're reaping in the benefits as much. I think you need that extra, and like people could disagree with me, and there are people out there who might want to do it in shorter times. Yeah. But for me personally, I like to be able to, you know, stop and pause and take it in, and if there's a river nearby, go for a dip, or take multiple lunch breaks, snacks breaks, jelly breaks, pee breaks, like, you know, and I have to be like, oh my god, like, we're on the clock, we have to go, you know. And I think we were, and also I think with the three of us, when we did the Sleeping Way, we had a nice pace between the three of us. I think that it worked really well. And that's another thing when you're out hiking, is to find your people. Like, find the people that you want to go, that I suppose that fit in with your flow when you're out on the trail. You know, that could be personality, that could be fitness, that could be whatever. And don't be afraid to just kind of go, do you know, like if you do one hike with them, be like, they're just not the people that I want to go hiking with.
Yeah.
Like find your community, like even if it's solo hiking maybe.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about like enjoying yourself and being outdoors. So yeah, make sure that you find the right people to do it with.
We definitely gelled quite well, like, but also like not just pace wise and personality wise, but also the ability to separate ourselves as well. Like there was periods of the hike, because like you're spending 3 days with each other. You know, you're camping together, you're eating together, you're almost like peeing together, like there's all these things that you share, but you also need to remember like you need to kind of take some time for yourself, and like we did spend like, you know, a couple of hours or more per day just going, I'm just going to go hike on my own. And
or like when the morning when we woke up and you were like, oh my god, the last morning I was like, I don't know, I had gotten this like abundance of energy on the last day and I just wanted to go. I was like, let's go, and then you guys were like, I want to listen to Linkin Park. So you guys stayed behind and just played the entire, I don't know, it felt like the entire album, and I was like,
we were taking our sweet ass time getting ready, myself and Connor, and we were just like listening to Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory, the first album, and then you shot off, and we were like, okay, and we could still see it in the distance. For like the first like couple of kilometers, you could still see because you had your Sundrift yellow rain cover bag, and we were just like singing to ourselves. It was like, oh, Mel's ahead of there. We'll catch up with her. It's fine. Like she's fine. She's grand. And then like 2 albums later, we're still like just like jumping around, like singing to ourselves. Like the last day was so much fun. And I'm sure it was really fun for you because you were like able to release that energy because you know, everything we just said there about like keeping your pace and like and embracing it and stuff like that. Sometimes you do have that energy and you're just like, I want to expel this energy.
Right now.
That's what you were doing. But back to solo hiking.
Yeah.
So you've done, apart from the Wicklow Way, as traumatic as it might have been,
it was amazing, but slightly traumatic.
You've done a couple of hikes recently. So there's the Kerry Camino.
No, I didn't do that by myself. My sister ended up coming along on that one. But then I did. It's funny, every time I plan on doing a solo hike, I seem to get messages from people wanting to come along, which I'm like, fine, okay. No, like I'm open to going hiking by myself, or you know, hiking in a group, whatever is cool with me. But I ended up doing the Seven Heads Peninsula by myself. And that one I actually really did need the headspace. Okay. I remember I was at home. When I just gotten back from California, and I was living in Dublin for like a month, and everything was kind of, I was struggling and scrambling trying to get GGW back off the ground, and with restrictions and COVID and the whole lot, and my head was just kind of all over the place, and I just remember being like, I need to get out into nature by myself. So I did. I went on to the HiiKER app and I looked for like a 2-day long distance trail, and I found the Seven Heads Peninsula, which is 42 kilometers, I think, or 46. Sorry, 42 or 46. And I packed up my bag, and then I drove down to Cork. I'm saying Cork ? And then Owen is like nodding his head like, yeah, thumbs up, you got it right. Look guys, I've done a lot of hikes, okay, and I just forget sometimes.
Michael Collins is spinning in his grave right now. My God. Did you do geography in school?
I did actually, but obviously failed it.
You were only in Cork like 2 weeks ago.
Oh my God, stop. Like my geography, my history, I do not retain information. I will remember a face. And with GGW, like any girl that has ever come on a hike with us, I will remember your face. I will not remember your name.
Oh, well, that's in fairness. You have had, what did you say, over 7,000?
7,000 women have done hikes with Galz Gone Wild. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's actually probably gone up now if I was to sit down and do the numbers. But like I said, with GGW, it's never about the numbers. It's not about how many people come on the trail, it's about who's there, and that's who I give my time to, you know. But back to the Seven Heads Peninsula in Cork. I knew that it was just going to be, it was only one night camping or whatever, but it is, as soon as I parked up the car in Courtmacsherry, and there's like a nice little car park where you can leave your car overnight safely, and then I walked all the way down through Courtmacsherry town. It's coastal, so you get to walk through the village, really, really pretty. And then I picked up they have like a little map there, just kind of like of the area, picked that up, and then set off through. It starts off kind of going through this beautiful Irish like indigenous forest, and it's all on the coast for the first actually, no, for all of it.
It is actually
for all of it.
Thing, yeah.
There, it does kind of slip back into some inland a little bit, but for most of it, it's all coastal. But it's because I don't do a lot of solo hiking as much as I used to, because I'm always now leading hikes with Galz Gone Wild. I forgot that I'm not in charge of anybody. You know, I'm not responsible for anybody. I can go at my own pace and like do what it is that I want to do. So it took me like an hour or so to kind of go like, you can stop if you want to stop. Like you can take a photo if you want to take a photo.
Were you like at any point like just kind of automatically kind of turn around and go, okay, girls.
We're just going to pause and take a breath here.
Blow your whistle, and then you just run into the forest.
I do have to like get myself out of that though, out of that headspace. And even when I am out on just like solo day hikes up in Wicklow, I need to stop thinking, oh yeah, this would be a nice hike for like Galz Gone Wild, or you know, I need to just kind of go, Mel, you're just here for you. Like you're not here for anybody else, you know. So it did take me a while to kind of get into that headspace when I went out to do the Seven Heads Peninsula. But it's an absolutely like epic trail. Like it is now. The first day especially, I found some really, really nice spots where you can like sea dip along the way. You can there's some really nice spots where you can camp as well, like wall camping. I found a really nice spot down on the beach, and I had the whole place to myself.
Amazing.
And watched the sunset over over the beach. It was like phenomenal. And then the weather the next day wasn't the best.
This is Ireland.
Yeah, so you have to be prepared. Like you need to have all the right like waterproof gear, and make sure that like everything is packed up in a liner in your bag, and then a rain cover and all of that crap, because you do not want to be like going to bed with a damp sleeping bag or wet clothes or any of that. But it was the second day was I would probably do it reverse again. I'd actually probably start in Timoleague and then come around to Courtmacsherry or back to Timoleague, because it just gets it's still beautiful, but it's just there's a lot of road. Mm-hmm. So I would do kind of reverse way around.
It's kind of the same idea. Like this is how I feel anyway about like the Wicklow way, the way that we did it.
Yeah,
I was glad we did it that way. Now I obviously didn't get to finish it because we had to stop short. But even talking to Paul and having hiked those sections of the trail, I know that the better parts of the Wicklow way are from like Glenmalure on. There's the other ones that just beyond Tinahely, there's a few hills there, Ballycumber Hill and stuff like that. But when you get to Glenmalure, and like from then on you're going into Glendalough, going on to Lochdan, and then you're finishing in Dublin. Same idea, where like you kind of want to save the best to last.
Well, because there's nothing worse than ending expecting this absolutely epic, and then it's kind of a bit flat. You're kind of like, oh, that's a bit shit, you know. So I think doing it the other way around might be better.
It reminds me of actually I did the Dublin Mountains Way. I just did it over 2 days, took my time on it, and I remember
perfect example.
Like
do not start
in if you're in Ireland and you're listening to this and you're planning on doing the Dublin Mountains Way, start in Tallaght.
100% start in Tallaght.
Please start in Tallaght, because finishing in Tallaght is the most anticlimactic end to a hike I've ever experienced, because you're first of all you're hiking on roads, and like this again, Dublin Mountains Way is actually a really nice trail, and you go through some really nice areas of the Dublin Mountains, and even the roads that you walk on are quite nice, they're quite picturesque, there's really nice houses and views over the city, but you are walking on roads, and then the last like 10 kilometres from Bohernabreen Reservoir all the way down into Kiltipper, and then into you're literally walking through housing estates, past a shopping centre,
the square
and then you finish in a car park beside some sort of weird pet farm thing.
Like Sarah, who was leading hikes for Galz Gone Wild last year, we did the Dublin Mountains Way with Galz Gone Wild, and we did it over 2 Saturdays, so one Saturday and then the next week we did it on a Saturday. And I came back and I was like, so what's the feedback? And Sarah was like, oh, absolutely start in Tala. She was like, definitely don't end in Tala. She was like, load of crap, like Sarah's gas. Nature Therapy Ireland, just as far as Bathing, she's amazing, check her out.
Yeah.
But she was just like, it was the most anticlimactic thing ever. She was like, it was just so, it was almost a letdown, you know?
Yeah.
Because it gets more beautiful if you start from Tala and end in Shankill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Kerry Camino then, you did that with your sister.
Yeah.
How many days did you do that? 2,
That
3?
was 3 days.
Yeah.
That was actually meant to be a solo trip as well. And then my sister had just moved home from England. And I just thought, because she's been living over in England since she was, God, years and years and years. And we've never had an opportunity to really bond like in our kind of adulthood, so I thought this would be a really nice opportunity to do that. So I invited her along, and it was great. Like there was 3 days of just being like immersed out in nature on the trails together, and it is a fantastic hike. Anybody that's, I think, looking to test their ability and experience wall camping, and if they're thinking about maybe doing the
Dingle Way?
No, the Camino.
Yeah.
The actual Camino.
Oh, the actual Camino.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
They think this is a nice way to like introduce yourself to it.
Yeah.
So it was, from Tralee all the way down to Dingle. And we stopped on the first night. We stopped on the beach.
Inch.
No, before that.
Oh.
It's actually not on the...
Is it camp?
Yes. Camp Beach.
Yeah,
it's actually called Camp, which is really confusing because when I was doing the blog post about it, it was like we camped at camp, and it was like, but not like Camp Beach.
It's a town called Camp.
It's a town called Camp. So we camped down there on the beach, and we ended up having like a sunset dip, and it was like phenomenal. So, and there's a pub that you can like have your dinner in, and then beside it there's a little laneway that you can walk down and camp on the beach. And then it's also cheaper because it's free as well. You don't have to pay for accommodation. If you want to pay for accommodation, that's where I think like HiiKER comes in amazingly well, because you can actually like look up what accommodation is available in the area. There's like really, really cool spots. There's like they're like little caravans. They're, you know, there's like old school like gypsy caravans. They're beautiful.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's kind of like those that you can stay in. I think they're about 200 quid for 4 people. So
it's kind of like glamping.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is actually. It's 100% glamping.
Oh, I thought I came up with a new thing. Damn.
Yeah, it's glamping. But you can stay, really, really nice accommodation. But me and my sister, like, we want to just wall camp the entire way. But there's loads of, I think HiiKER is great for that. Like, you can pre-plan where you're going to stay. And as well, if you want to resupply in like any of the towns or whatever, there shows you shops and stuff that you can do that. So for us, we camped on the beach, and the next day then we got all the way to Inch, and then we paused at Inch, and we had a nice sea dip again in it was beautiful, really, really cool. And then we made our way to the next stop that I can't remember.
That's okay. We're not going to be like frantically searching for where it was.
It's on the blog post.
It's on the blog post. Yeah. Which we will be sharing as well.
It's we stopped at the South Pole Inn pub.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So
Anascall.
Yeah,
I knew I'd get there. We stopped in Anascall.
I had the same issue with Paul. We were like, what was the name of that pub? And then I'm frantically typing on it. Yeah,
the South Pole Inn is the pub dedicated to Tom Crean, the Irish Antarctic explorer. Yeah. So we stopped there, and we had like 2 Guinness, and then we got talking to the owner, who was like, you girls are more than welcome to camp out the back. They have like this kind of like green space.
Cool.
So we had planned we were going to like hike further and then find a spot. So we were like, grand, we'll just stay here. So we were able to resupply our water there. We had our dinner there, so it meant that we didn't have to carry our food for that night. We were able to charge our phones. We like had the crack, and then we like got to bed quite early, and then we were up at the crack of dawn, and then we kind of just barreled all the way into Dingle for the last day. But it's absolutely beautiful trail. Like, oh my god, it's just like the views are spectacular. The trails are like, you get to go through forests and like little farmers trails, and there's not that much road section. Well, there's a few bits of road, whatever,
but they're quiet enough.
They're
roads.
quite, yeah, really quiet. And actually, the first day is phenomenal. Actually, I totally forgot about the first day. You're not going over mountains. You're kind of skirting around them, but you're already like, you're gone from the car park, walking through Tralee Town, and then all of a sudden you're just like out in the open mountains. Like it's phenomenal. So you kind of get like a bit of everything, you know. It's like one of those trails where you're like, it kind of ticks all the boxes, you know.
It's nice, like kind of one-stop shop for like your Kerry scenery. Like this is kind of like your poster card for Kerry.
Yeah,
you know.
It literally has it all, and I think it's the perfect entry. Like I said, entry level for anybody wanting to get into like long distance hiking, because you're still connected to shops and pubs and restaurants and all of that. So if you don't want to carry all of your food and then the equipment to cook your food, because that obviously adds extra weight to your backpack, then this is perfect, because you don't have to do that, and you can just stop off in like the little towns and villages along the way, and just like, you know.
Well, that's what we try to do with HiiKER as well, is that it's you know, we've looked at all the different types of hikers that are out there, and you have the people that want to go out and they're, you know, connect with nature and hike, and like yourself, like they want to camp and do that every single night. And then you do have the people that, no, I want to hike the trail, but I also want to have a comfortable bed to sleep in at night, and I want to have a hot meal and even a drink or whatever. Or you might be doing it with kids, and you want to stay in accommodation, and you want to have that kind of experience. And that's why we've designed HiiKER in the way that it is that when you plan these trails out, you can look and see, okay, I'm doing this trail, where are the hotels, or where are the hostels, or where are the B&Bs? We do give campsites as well. Now they're commercial campsites, so you do pay to have a pitch fee, but and obviously we don't give wild camping areas, because wild camping is wild camping. You wild camp wherever you can. Rules around wild camping are a bit vague in Ireland, so it's all taken at your own risk, and obviously practice leave no trace. But that's why we do this, because we want people to be able to experience these trails, but also to be able to experience them with their own level of comfort as well. Yeah,
because like logistics to take on a long distance trail, like the logistics behind that might be so. It just might be out of somebody's like comfort level. They just kind of feel like, oh, that's too much responsibility to try and like plan, and where am I gonna? And some people need that. Some people need to know where they're going to be like staying that night, and it's all about your comfort level. So HiiKER, I think, allows that. Like for instance, when we looked at doing, or when we're doing the Blue Stack Way next month. Like you can kind of tell by looking on the app that, okay, there's a big massive section there where there's like, you're not connected to anything. So you're not going to be able to resupply your water. You're going to have to bring your pump with you. You're going to have no access to shops. So you're going to have to bring your food for that night or whatever. It takes away that element of just like having to like scroll through the internet and try find all that information. And kind of, I suppose, sets you up to take it on and feel comfortable doing that, you know, before you even kind of like, it sets you up like preparation. I suppose it's like it prepares you for. And you can download HiiKER for free now from your local app store, and go to HiiKER.app. That's HiiKER.app. But it is though, it allows you to plan and prepare for your hike so much better. Like it really does. It's taken off so much, like the time that it would normally take for me to do all of that with HiiKER, it's just so much easier. Like it really is. And it's funny you say that, because we've actually gotten a bit of backlash from people online saying that, well, that's part of the journey, and like that's fine. That is for a lot of people. That's part of their journey. Exactly, that's part of their journey, and like you shouldn't withhold the outdoors and withhold these experiences from people that maybe not necessarily enjoy trawling through the internet and finding where they need to go, or you know, having maps all over the floor and trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go. They want to have a level of comfort, or just a peace of mind that, you know, they know where they're going, and they know where they're staying, and it's all in a handheld device. And like, yes, absolutely, paper maps are essential. You know, if you're going to be doing long distance hikes, you want to bring paper maps with you, because Phones can fail.
Phones can fail.
Yeah.
Batteries can fail. You can drop your phone in water. It rains in Ireland or anywhere else in the world. It rains everywhere. You could damage your phone or your battery could die, and you don't want to be stuck without that. And that's why we do offer print maps versions of the trails that we
Which
provide.
is great. Yeah, great addition.
But yeah, we're, as we always say, and sorry, this has kind of gone into a bit of a sales pitch for HiiKER, but we do always say that we're not the be all and end all. We're not the center of your hike. We're there to help you along the way. We're there to guide you.
Making it accessible. Like that's what like
exactly.
we talked about it earlier on. It's about making the outdoors accessible to everybody and kind of getting rid of that toxic, outdoor, like you have to, like that, you have to be a hiking enthusiast, you have to be this, you have to be that in order to go out and do these trails. And I'm like, you don't. But like also finding your comfort level within it. And I think with HiiKER, you like, it allows people to explore that more, and it gives them the confidence to kind of go, oh, maybe I can do this, or maybe I can try it, So I don't know, whoever those people are, they need to take a chill pill.
Have a long, hard conversation with yourself.
Yeah, well,
thanks for the endorsement, Mel.
Well, it's like, I know, right, that when I get asked, do I solo camp, right, and I'm like, yeah, like all the time, for me, solo camping isn't a big deal. I don't see it as something that's crazy and out there and wild. To me, that's my comfort level. Like, I'm absolutely totally okay with being outdoors by myself. But I know that I am probably in the very small percentage of women that feels that way. And I know that actually for the higher percentage of women, they don't feel comfort in that at all. And to them, that is so foreign to want to go out and experience the outdoors in that kind of way, whether it's like solo camping or hiking or just being out in nature by themselves. Like, that just inflicts or feels just too scary, you know. And I think that's a whole other conversation that I could get into about women in the outdoors with, just about fear, I suppose, and safety and all of that. So I think it's just trying to make it accessible for all women, and not just this small percentage of women that are
already there.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think there is a shift, a sea change in women with the outdoors?
Yes, I think there is, 100%, and like I'm seeing it, especially after lockdown as well. I've had to put on more newbie, we call them like newbie hikes, we call them the GGW cherry popper hikes, and it's for complete newbies. Like, and these are women that mightn't have ever hiked at all, or have ever experienced the outdoors, or even gone on a walk outdoors in nature, or like obviously gone out and walk in their woods or forest, whatever, but to be like kind of immersed in it in that way. And I think maybe one of the reasons that is there's more women being highlighted in the outdoor industry. Like, we're seeing more women being championed in the like outdoor industry, whether it's through Facebook or Instagram or social media or whatever it is. Whereas before, like that, it was highly male dominated, older demographic. And I think now you're just starting to see, like, you can go through Instagram, like you can literally go and every single there's like pictures of like women at the weekend going for, whether it's a walk up Bray Head or whether it's like Hotz or whatever it is, Glendalough, and it's kind of, I think women are realizing, like, I belong here too. Like, I absolutely belong here too, and it's not just for one type of person. And I am seeing massive shift, like huge, because there is and that's why Galz Gone Wild, we've started to offer mountain skills training. We're working alongside FIA Mountaineering, Cormac there, amazing guy, and he is providing our mountain skills training for us, because I think it's so important for women to be skilled in mountain safety, navigation, and not having to rely on somebody else, you know. So even when we go out on hikes with Galz Gone Wild, I will, when we get to like a crossroads, I ask the girls, okay, where are we going now? Or I get them to follow markers, or I get them to lead like sections of the hike, and it's building that confidence in it, you know. but yeah, we offered the mountain skills training because there's a cut-off point with mountaineering. The Mountain Leader Award. It's kind of the same. Women and men do Mountain Skills 1 and Mountain Skills 2, but then as soon as it goes past that, the mountain assessment, it kind of falls away, and it's just more men. So I'm trying to push for more women to go for their Mountain Leader Award, including myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a big shift with seeing women in the outdoors, and great, love it. Like, absolutely love it.
Because it's something I hold, I suppose, especially dear to myself, like having a daughter.
Yeah.
And, you know, dragging her along the South Downs Way last year, but just trying to kind of show her like people like yourself, and showing her the videos from Eleanor Osborne when she did the PCT, because they're beautiful pieces of film that kind of show you. It's a lot of it is her personality, but a lot of it is kind of like, this is the reality of the outdoors. What she tries to convey in those movies, and there's other obviously actually Abby Barnes does it quite well as well. Show you not just the practicality of it and the logistics of it, but also the beauty of it through the way that they film these documentaries, and it's again making it accessible, and not just for women, but actually for everybody. If you follow these people, they actually make these things and make these experiences accessible to everybody. It's like, you can go and do this yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and so that's why I'm so excited to see more women being not just in the outdoors, but also being highlighted in the outdoors, because they need to be bastions, and they need to be inspiration for the next generation to go out. And like, I remember, actually, I think I told you this at the time, when I first introduced Caitlin to you and like to Galz Gone Wild. Her and her friends were like walking around the estate that we were living at. It's like, we're Girls Gone Wild, or I can't remember what she said. Not Girls Gone Wild, that would be the wrong one to say. But there was like Chicks Gone Wild or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she said. Yeah, but it was like, yes,
I love it.
They're doing it. Cool.
Like,
all right, first step.
Like, there's, women can be, and I think that's like with the name Galz Gone Wild. Like, that wasn't just a fluke, by the way. Like, that's something that I thought about a lot, because Girls Gone Wild, right, is a porn site. Yeah. Like, and I purposely made it Galz Gone Wild, and then when people are like, oh, I thought it was, I'm like, well, look, women can be both, right? Porn stars. But they can be like sexual, playful, but they can also be badass, like outdoor mountaineers or whatever. Like, we can have that masculine and feminine energy, and it's important to highlight that and to show that. And that's why, Galz Gone Wild, I think, is a fabulous name for our community.
It really is, though. It is. No, it fits perfectly. Like, it'd be hard push to find something else that works better than that.
But I think it sums up our like the personality of the women on the trail. Like, we are just playful gals that just want to get out and have fun and enjoy the outdoors. Like,
absolutely.
That's
We have been talking for a very
7
long
years.
time.
I feel like it's been 7 years. We need to go climbing, man.
Do you want? Yeah. We're going to Awesome Walls in Dublin to some 6 ends.
6 ends, bro.
Do you want to tell me what you are doing now? Not right now, because we're going climbing. But
what am I doing?
So we're doing like the Blue Stack Way. But have you any other plans? What other hikes have you got coming up, or is there any other endeavours you've got coming up?
Well, yes. Yeah, okay, yes and no. In all honesty, and I'm not trying to bring the tone down, but just like, I suppose, the honesty aspect of it, everything that's been going on with restrictions and what's happening in Dublin and in Ireland and the world, I have been kind of scrambling to try and get back up on my feet and to get Galz Gone Wild back up on its feet. And when I felt like it was building momentum again, the Dublin restrictions kind of came in. But I'm persevering and I'm like adapting, and that's something that's like, it's this new skill that I'm like adding to my CV, is constantly adapting and changing, like, because you have to, otherwise you're not gonna, it's not gonna survive. And I will die on my deathbed trying to make sure that Galz Gone Wild is around for a long, long time. So my energy over the past, since we reopened back in July, has been the girls and our community.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty, I haven't really thought much about my personal development, and like there's things that I want to achieve. I want to go and get my Mountain Leader award.
Yeah.
That has all just been kind of put on the back burner until it is, I suppose, kind of, you know, back to just settled, where I'm not having to constantly scramble and change and figure out. So I've just been focused on that, and then just rediscovering Ireland and just doing smaller little hikes like the Schliebling Way and the Blue Stack Way that we're going to be doing next month.
Yeah.
I did have a big plan to do the PCT.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it not next year, but 2022.
Yeah.
So I'm still hoping to do that. There's a lot of work that I need to do, but in the meantime, I'm just trying to focus on having fun and being kind of like present at the moment, you know, just like appreciating what we have in Ireland and the trails that we have in Ireland, and doing as many of those as I can, and taking time out for myself and self-care and all of that. But as far as like other because you can't really plan, like that's the thing. As soon as you kind of make a plan,
we all had plans. Like I had plans for several hikes this year. I was going to do the GR20. I was going to do the Alta Via. I was going to do the El Anos, the Picos in Spain.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
But it's all scrapped.
Yeah.
And who might not even be able to do that next year.
Yeah.
It might be 2-3 years until we have to do that. So I think that resonates with me a lot. And I have been trying to practice that about just being like, okay, what can I do?
What can I do here?
What can I do in Dublin? You know, where can I hike in Dublin? And I remember at the start of lockdown, I was going around Town Park. It's a local public park here, and I was just walking around and just finding the forest trails and just doing stuff like that, and maybe even doing bits of the Dublin Mountains Way. Yeah. And running.
And running, exactly. Lots of running. We're going on a trail run today. I'm very scared. But yeah, it's like when we got the news of the restrictions in Dublin, and obviously a lot of our community members live in Dublin, right? So they can't travel to our hikes in Wicklow, which is where we put most of our hikes on. So I put it out to the girls, and I was like, would you be keen to explore more of the Dublin trails? And it was like a resounding yes. So I'm now going and exploring trails that I probably haven't really bothered to do because I didn't think that they were worthy enough or hard enough or whatever. For whatever reason, I just kind of never really gave it much thought about this should be something that we're going to explore. And I'm after finding like some unbelievably beautiful trails to share with our Dublin community members. So in some ways it's like it kind of I suppose it's kind of worked out, you know, that you get to rediscover like your city in a different way, and you get to view it from like a different viewpoint. So
we'll be seeing Dublin City Centre, Galz Gone Wild.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
City tours.
City tours, yeah.
And this is where me and Owen used to go drinking, falling out at 2:00 in the morning and getting
aim endurance,
getting what was it, D Fontaine's pizza.
Oh my God, D Fontaine's pizza. Let's get D Fontaine's pizza later.
Let's go get D Fontaine's pizza. Mel, it has been a delight.
Likewise. It's been so good.
I do this cheesy thing at the end. Do you want to tell people where people can find you? I'm sure people who are listening to this already know who you are, but Instagram, YouTube, wherever.
Yeah, well, our website, www.galz with a Z, so GALZ gonewild.com, galzgonewild.com, and that has all the information about who we are, what we do, where we go, how you can get involved. And then our Instagram is Galz Gone Wild, and then an underscore at the end of it, and that's kind of more just content of our community members and pictures from the hikes that we do, and then we have some stories on there about like just day-to-day nonsense of stuff that I get up to. And Facebook, but we don't really use that. There is a community Facebook page that you can add yourself to, which is mainly for carpooling and things like that if you don't drive, because now with COVID we don't supply the bus anymore, so it's all driving or carpooling. So if you don't drive, you can add yourself to that Facebook group.
Sweet. Well, sure, like we will be tagging you obviously when we're posting about this page, but yeah, that's class. That was a really, really good chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Let's go running and climbing.
Yay, pizza!
See you later, Mel.
Bye! Well, because
Constant like goosebumps building moments.
it was actually the first book that I remember my dad reading to me. Actually, probably the only book I think my dad ever read to me was the Hobbit, and I'm like, maybe that's what spurred my like love for adventure.
Yeah.